No, man, but you got to keep going. What am I going to do, quit? That's not an option. You got to keep on keeping on. Life's a garden, dig it. You make it work for you. You never give up, man. That's my philosophy.
Hey gardeners, hope you're all having a great week. A little wet here today, but as you can see, we've got our peas popping up out of the ground. We got some nice tulips as well, looking really nice here. Spring is here. All right, let's get growing. All right. Welcome all of my garden enthusiasts and passionate plant people to another week of the Let's Get Growing show here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm Enoch. I'm your host this week, and we got a really great show ahead for you here today. I am really excited to present to you an interview that I did just actually a couple of weeks back. Actually, it was the first interview that I did of the season, but we had to pre-record it. But it's a really great interview and a great opportunity for us to have a great discussion with James Prigioni from the gardening channel with James Prigioni. So we've got that conversation coming up for you all here in just a little bit. And one of the cool things, I suppose, about all of the pre-recorded guests and things that we get to do is that I also get to hang out in the chat box with everybody. So I'll get to talk and chat with everyone during the interview. So you guys can ask me questions or anything like that as well, too. So I'll be in the chat with everybody while we're watching the interview there. But if you are here today, right now, actually right at the top of the show, hit that thumbs up. Click the like button. If you haven't already subscribed, click the subscribe button as well as the bell notification so that you can be notified of all of our upcoming shows and videos here on the Urban Gardener channel. So, and again, too, really important this season too for us. We are really, off to a really great start here on our show. We've had some really great guests. We started out a couple of weeks ago with Nate Murray from Garden Like a Viking, just a really great, awesome person. Love his live streams. He just gets finished with his actually just a little bit before we get started here. And then we had last week Jenna from Grow Fully with Jenna with us on the show. That was really awesome. Great conversation. And then this week we've got James Prigioni, and also we have coming up too as well here in just a few minutes too. We have with us Joe and Korky from Grow Big TV. So we're going to talk with them for just a little bit live right here. So definitely get into the chat box and leave any comments or anything as well too for us. So definitely do that. And also big, huge shout out to all of you who are watching us on the replay right now. Great thing about our live streams is that they continue their life on YouTube after we're done with the live stream, so that all of you who need to watch or can only watch at certain times get the chance to watch us on the replay. So if you are watching us on the replay, definitely get down in the comments below. Let me know you're here. Let me know where you're gardening from. And just like with anybody else who's watching with us live, to let us know if you got any comments about the show, any questions, or any suggestions as well too. I'd love to get some suggestions on possible future guests that we could have on the show too. So always drop in and let me know of people that you really enjoy watching, or even follow on Instagram or Facebook or other places as well where people are putting out great gardening content. So definitely leave those sort of suggestions for us as well too. And then if you are definitely, like I said, here with us live, leave a question or comment, and we might just feature it here on the show. And especially when we have our guests on, Joe and Korky coming up here in just a little bit too. You can leave questions and we can ask those to our guests while they're here, except for James, because our questions are already done and interviews already set. But definitely you can ask me questions in the comment box as well too, because I'll be right in the comments with everybody else as well during the interview. So definitely a really awesome show ahead for us coming up here. And then as well too, I just wanted to mention tomorrow we do have Sunday shows as well too for the Let's Get Growing show. We have our Sunday edition. So Sunday edition is now a great opportunity. We've had so many great, awesome guests on our show last year and now going into this year with so many new guests. I want to bring old guests back. So we've kind of thought about a couple of different ways that we could do that. So one of them is a gardening roundtable that we're going to do on some of the Sundays throughout the month. And that's going to be tomorrow, same time, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Urban Gardener channel. Tomorrow, we're going to have our first roundtable with our good friends, King Star from the Pepper Lovers community and the King Star channel on YouTube, and our good friend Christopher Brandsdahl from YouTube as well. He gardens out of Norway, and it's really great to catch up with him. They actually have done live streams with me for the last I think this was probably like our fourth, maybe even fifth year in a row where we've done basically like a first week of spring live stream. So it's perfect that it worked out for our first roundtable that we have our good friends King Star and Christopher Brandsdahl joining with us to kind of just talk about spring. It's the first week of spring, and that's a really exciting time for all of us gardeners. We're just, really just, some of us are really just getting started, digging in. Some of us are still, kind of dreaming and thinking about what's to come still. And then there's some of you who've been gardening for throughout the whole winter season because you live in some really great areas and are able to extend your seasons and all of that too. So again, but it's the springtime that is just kind of that one indicator of the year for all of us gardeners, that everything is just really about to just really get growing for the season. So it is an exciting time, and I always like to share that with my good friends King Star and Christopher Brandsdahl. So we'll just talk about our seasons, what we've got planned, what we've got coming up, and just be a great opportunity for everybody else to come join us, ask some questions, and join in on the conversation. Again, as this is just a really great, exciting time for us. And also, too, I just want to mention that coming up this next week, too, we're going to have our super hot live weekend with Johnny Scoville on Saturday. So he's going to join us as the featured guest on Saturday. We'll also have Jimmy Pickles from the super hot Spicy Life of Pepper People. I'm trying to remember the name here. It's on Hulu. These guys, it's a really great kind of reality television type series based on folks in the pepper community who love growing really hot peppers. And so we're going to have the main star of the Hulu show, Johnny Scoville, and also Jimmy Pickles as well too, on for our Are You Follow Me segment. And then on the Sunday discussion, we're going to have with us Ed Curry, the creator of the Carolina Reaper and now the new record holder, Guinness Book of World Records record holder for hottest pepper in the world, Pepper X. So we're going to have them on our show for next weekend for a super hot kind of pepper weekend. So it's going to be really fun. And I hope you all come back and check out those shows as well, too. So, yeah, we got lots and lots of great things coming up here on the Let's Get Growing show. And it's really great to have all of you joining along with me here, too. And I already see we've got tons of people who are already in the chat box. I just love this. This is great. Let's see here. Just want to kind of shout out some names here if we can. There's so many people in right now too, but I just want to make sure we get it. Yeah, there are a lot of comments in there, folks. Awesome, awesome. I love seeing the discussion already. So yeah, definitely right at the top we have our sponsor, Ivy Organic, and I'll actually throw this up here for everybody as well too. I want to mention this. Ivy Organic is our sponsor. Go check them out at ivyorganics.com and be sure to use our promo code GROW10 too. But definitely go check out their 3-in-1 plant guard. I say this all the time, every show. I think that everybody should have this in their garden shed, in with all of their gardening products. You got to have the 3-in-1 plant guard. So great to see. Great to see Charles in the chat there with us. Cookie Monkey saying hello over from the Viking channel. Looking forward to hearing from you and the guest. Definitely. That's awesome. Awesome to see you here. And thanks for joining me from Grow Like a Viking, Garden Like a Viking, actually. Sorry, Nate's channel there. Just got done finishing his live stream myself before I got started with mine. So we got Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. Hey, y'all, Grow Big TV sent me over. Awesome. Awesome to see you guys here too as well. Awesome. Awesome. We got Sam. Pause. Oh, I'm turning up your last name. Sorry. But Sam, we thank you for joining us. And our moderator, Jay Dixon. Jay, one of the greatest moderators on YouTube. So awesome to have you here with us moderating and dropping in links in the comments as we're talking about things. So definitely there. We got Garden State so awesome. Thanks for joining with me here. I'm not going to be able to get to everybody. I'm sorry. Wide Family Farm. Let's see here. Who else we got here? Oh, of course, we got Grow Big TV here. Definitely. We'll be talking with them here in just a few minutes. Definitely just a few minutes here. Get down through here. Rick Dealand. Oh, he's saying it's 5 a.m. in Sydney. Oh, if join us from there, that's awesome. Awesome. Excellent. Let's see here. Drop in here. Oh, Shawnee's saying I'm here to see Grow Big TV. Awesome. Thank you. Another one saying hi, Joe. They're in here. They're waiting. We'll have them on in just a moment here for everybody. Let's see here. Grow it, Alaska. Awesome. Jane Doe. Fields of Gold. Let's see, the Analytic Gardener. My Alabama Life. Look at all of you coming in here and showing up and representing. That, how awesome is that? Excellent. Great to see. Like I said, I'm not going to be able to get to everybody here. We got to get rolling along here. We got to bring our guests in here real quick here in just a couple minutes here. Let's see. Serena Norell. Got Heather Fox with us, joining us again. Awesome. All right. Excellent. Got it. All right. So anyways, I hope everybody's been having a really great gardening week. We've been busy just doing all sorts of stuff in the garden right now. So hopefully you are able to be getting things done as well too. Again, like I said, we're all growing in different areas and dealing with different weather conditions still, and in some places a bit cold to be out and planting things, but maybe you're getting other things going as well too. We're busy with all that sort of stuff around here. I've got so many plans for things that I want to be growing and doing, especially around all of our growing spaces. I've got all of the spaces I've already been growing in for years that we're trying to get cleaned up and get things planted in and get things started again with, because we got to make sure we start, getting our normal garden started. And then I've got all these other projects of things that are now in development that are hopefully going to get started throughout the season, this season, and hopefully get as much of it done as I can. But I've got big plans. I've got a new owner here who's letting me put in and do some things to expand the idea of what we want to do here. So I really want to be able to, we're going to be able to turn the front yard into some garden beds and show people how you can grow out of your front yard now. You know what I mean? We're going to be able to put our pepper garden back up on our rooftop and get back up there. That was one of the big things for our channel when I first got started a few years back, was having that pepper garden. It got me a lot of notice in the neighborhood as well too. So it really was kind of one of those things that helped me get started with the whole channel and everything, as well, was that pepper garden we had up on the rooftops. We're going to be able to get that back. We're going to be able to start incorporating other things. We've already been doing some worm farming. It's going to be a big part of how we're going to try to close in some of our systems as well that we have here. Maybe introduce some chickens and bees and things like that. I'm going to be trying to work with a local organization here in my area that does bees and pollinators and things like that. So we're going to try to do things and set some things up and hopefully bring in others here around in the area as well, because what I ultimately would like to do is turn our whole setup that we have around here into kind of an educational, not really center, but a place where I can, kind of bring people in and show people and maybe do a few classes on this urban landscape gardening, that I've been doing for years. So I think that that's kind of a really cool idea. I've been really working on that with our new owner. So we've got a lot of really great fun projects that we're going to be working on and developing as we get moving forward in this growing season. I'm really, really excited about those. So we are busy working on lots and lots of things, as well as all of our garden stuff that we already do as well too. And I got to get caught up with my videos so that you guys can see kind of our progress and be able to follow along on the video side of what we do here on the Urban and Gardener channel. And you guys get to follow along and get to see how all of this comes together, especially over this next season or two, as we really develop really the ultimate goals that I've really had for a few years now and been kind of really hoping that I could do now. And especially now that I've got a new owner and I've got the green light on a lot of stuff, we're going to really dig into that and really get that going and really see where that can take us in, especially with the content we're able to make and show and teach and present people about small space urban gardening and all of the different things that you can do with the unused space and that sort of things. I mean, there's just so many options out there, and I'll be really, really looking forward to sharing a lot of that with all of you. So, all right. Anyways, I think it's time we get moving on with the show here. In just a couple of minutes, we'll be back with our first guests from Grow Big TV, Joe and Korky. Let's Get Growing is sponsored by IV Organic.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with IV Organics, where we grow cool plants and author Saving the World with the Home Garden. IV Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils, which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. 1 application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
Hi, this is Sarah with Sarah's Seed Shop, and I'm here with this week's trivia question. What type of vegetable is also known as Chinese cabbage? Is it A, kohlrabi, B. michihili, C. radicchio, or D. calabash? Stick around for the answer later on in the show.
All right, all right. So now it's time to get started with our very first guest of the show. And before we get started there, actually, real quick, I just want to remind you that we do have James Prigioni coming up here just a little bit later on as well. And if you do have any comments or anything or questions for our guests, definitely jump into the comments section. So now it's time for Are You Following Me?
Are you following me? Are you following me, dude?
So, all right, let's bring in our guests, Joe and Korky. Hi, how are we doing? Great to have you all on the show.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Don't usually have two different people on here, so this is something I got to get used to. We've got our first garden panel tomorrow on our show Sunday, and this is what we're going to be doing, talk with two different people. So it's kind of good to get started with you two here, right here. Got two different, one on the right, one on the left. All right.
I can't even do that properly because I can never figure it out. Wait, okay.
Well, I'm kind of lucky. I'm in the middle, so I can just go right, left, whatever. Just do it fast enough you can't notice, right?
Doing the dancing.
Or like, it would be interesting to get like 9 people, like what was it, the Brady Bunch? You remember at the beginning, and they would all point to each other and look at each other from different directions. Yeah. Right on. Well, again, thanks for joining me on the show here. Last season we had Joe on the show for his Garden State Gardener channel, so I thought it would be really great here, especially towards the beginning of our season here this year, to have Joe back on. But this year got a whole new project going on, a whole new channel called Grow Big TV, and Korky, you've joined in with him to do this as a co-host show, and I've been watching a few of these. Have been really fun. I really like how you guys really connect with each other well as co-hosts, and you really put together a great show. I was just on Thursday. I thought that was really fun. We got to have a nice, really long, fun conversation. I was surprised again too. It's really surprising when you get the conversation going, how the things get going, and oh wow, look at the time, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, tell me a little bit about how Grow Big TV came together, and I'll start with you, Korky. Let us know a little bit about yourself and your channel, actually, as well too, that you do, and then how Grow Big TV came together.
Okay, so I've been doing Wide Family Farm for years, and I've known Joe for years now. And he started out with he was a member of my channel, and then you know, we're just a goofy bunch over at Wide Family Farm, and then later on in the year we started talking. This last was the year before last, wasn't it? No, it was this year. I'm sorry, I'm confused. Okay, so this over the summer and stuff, we started talking about starting our own show, and we actually talked about it for months before we even did anything, because we didn't know how we were going to put it out there, you know. So we decided that we work really well together. We're kind of a good team. And so we decided to start Grow Big TV, and I think we started it in, was it October or November? I think we delayed it even, and I think we started in November. And it's just worked out. We just wanted to have the best of the best on, and we started pulling people that have their PhDs and their doctorates in the gardening field. And we're so grateful that they came on the channel, and it's more in-depth educational, and I have learned so much just from being a co-host on the show. I have learned so much. It's ridiculous. It's like blown my mind, especially about soil. I'm like, I keep thinking about soil. I wake up thinking, I wonder what I'm going to do. I wonder if I did it this way, you know? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, and it's worked out great. And Joe's a great partner. I wouldn't trust a whole lot of people to do this with. He's the one I trust.
Yeah.
And so it's worked out really well. And yeah, we're in completely different states. And so sometimes it's a little difficult because, you know, we have things that we need to mail out, and, you know, there's extra things from the show that we have to do. But it's like, how do we do that? Because we're in
Right.
separate states. But so far it's working out really good. And yeah, we're excited. And it's just moving up from there. I mean, I can't believe the subscriber amount that we've had just since November. So it's working out really good for us, and we love everybody. Our following is freaking awesome. So
Yeah, I will say so. I really, really great start to the show, and um, yeah, lots of folks already in there in the comment section. Lots of cheering you folks on, and it definitely it's one thing I notice about your show as I've watched a few of them and been on, like I said, this last Thursday, is really how well you guys connect with the audience, and all of that is just really something great to see. So yeah, so again, a little bit here from you, Joe, too, as well, having you back on the show. Thanks for being back with us, and tell us a little bit about yourself too, and how all of this kind of came together for you on your side as well. About maybe let us know a little bit about where things are going, and what kind of your outlook on the show as well.
Well, first I started Garden State Gardener, where I've been gardening for over, I always said 30 years, but man, I'm getting old. It's like over 35 years or 40 years. I'm getting way too old. And I learned from a farmer, and he was more or less with horse manure and, using that kind of as a fertilizer. And so I always listened to him all the time. And plus, his wife always made the best iced tea. And so I had to go up the hill, get some iced tea instead of water. That always helps. And so, I would always go up there to listen, and he'd talk gardening to me. And so I started my own garden. And everybody goes, wow, how do you grow that food? And I was like, well, I use cow manure. And people always knew I grew food. So, yeah, starting off early was a big help. And then I wanted to show everybody, my friends, my garden, because I moved out of town where I grew up. So I wanted to show them what my garden was. And I'm like, what kind of platform? So I use YouTube a little bit. And I raised so many videos on there because it was just not meant to be seen to the public. I did a lot of deleting.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people early on, and maybe even some still today too, really used YouTube as just kind of a dumping off ground for video footage, that they shared with their family, or different things, that were just, yeah, I remember a lot of that as well too.
And I made a lot of connections on the way. I would show stuff to Luke and my gardener when he started off, and I would go, what my advice for everybody is, email people that you watch, and you never know who responds. Because if you have questions, ask. Feel free to ask. If they answer, they answer. If they don't, they don't. It's just the way it rolls. I mean, we have all busy lives. Everybody's working 2-3 jobs these days, So, ask questions. It always helps. Watch as many people as you can. I don't watch TV anymore. I watch YouTube. And I'm always big on supporting. Support. So if you support, other people usually support you. So when Garden State Gardener has, I think, 16,000 followers right now. And it's not just because of, they just came to see me. It's because I did a lot of support, and I did a lot of questions, just like you, Yannick. You would be all over the place, asking questions, going to see people, and that really, really helps. So, when last summer, we started talking, Korky and I, hey, I think we work really, really well together. Her channel has made me laugh, it has me cry, had me support everybody in the community. I absolutely love Korky's channel, Wide Family Farm. I go, you know what? She has strengths, I have strengths. Man, would it be great if we could just combine it together?
Yeah.
And so it's really, really worked out well, where we combine stuff together, where The community's starting to come together from both sides, and we just work really really well together, and we have high expectations. And you know what? The number one thing I want to say is your mods, and like Jay Dixon and Jane
Yes.
Doe are two of the best mods on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm having issues over here, and I don't know why, but I am. So.
Yes, Jay is amazing, and just awesome moderator. I'm gonna have to maybe get Jane on as well too. Maybe, I don't know, get them working all together. But Jay does just an amazing job as well. Just dropping in all the great, just whatever we're talking about, there's a link coming up, and I just love it. Always making sure that folks who are in our chat room are getting the shout outs as well too, if they've got channels and all of that as well, because that's what we are. We are a super supporter of channels and content creators in the gardening community. That's what we're all about here. That's what our show is. It's about garden passionate plant people and garden enthusiasts, like I say at the top of the show, people who really love gardening and growing, and a lot of us who really take it to that next level. Not only are we passionate about what we're growing in our garden, but we're creating content as well too. And I think it's just really awesome that we all kind of help support each other. And that's one of the great things I find about your show as well too, is that's a basis of what I see primarily on your show is just a real great support of the overall gardening community.
Well, we support them. I mean, we got a lot. If people want to learn, we should be helping each other. I mean, that's so important, helping each other. And with Jay and Jane, I mean, they help protect the channel. I mean, amazing. I mean, something that goes on, bam, it's protected. You want information, bam, it's right out there. I mean, absolutely amazing. And another thing before we start too is IV Organics. Charles is the best. So I know I got this right in front of me because I talked the other day.
Yep.
If you guys have a chance to get this organic fertilizer, go for it. It is awesome fertilizer. And it's organic, which is most important. And a plant guard, which is the IV Organics plant guard. You have issues with sunburn on your plants, you spray this on top of your plants, you can save your plant. You have a 90, all of a sudden you have 40-degree day, 50, and all of a sudden it's not 80 or whatever kind of aspect. This will really help your plants to get that healthy start. Because what plants are, right? If you have a healthy start, you should have a healthy plant. Okay. So by protecting the plant of sunburn right off the start, you're not stunting everything. You're gonna grow a good, healthy crop. So that's
yeah.
I had issues there, but what were we talking about? I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, so with Korky and I, we just feel we could plan well together. We could do a lot of research. I work sometimes 20 hours a day. Yeah. So I mean, that's being real. That's not just putting hours out there. Like last night I worked 22 hours straight. I do a lot of work. So at the same time, when have my right hand's free, I'm texting Korky. The left hand comes free sometimes too. I'll text some other people. It's all about networking, getting things planned. We worked all this morning for a couple hours, and we got a lot of stuff accomplished.
We got a ton of stuff done this morning. I've been up since 8 o'clock, 8:30.
Yeah.
It's been crazy. It's been this Grow Big TV thing has taken off way faster than I thought it was going to, and I think it's taken off way faster than Joe thought it was going to, because we're just hitting numbers and we're like, how are we doing this? So working out really good for us.
And we have a great show on Tuesday.
What do you got coming up for us?
So we call the Fearsome Foursome, and that's at 8 o'clock. Then we have an after party to talk about it because it's pre-recorded. And as you know, is when you have big guests, you got to record things, just like James today. You got to record. Yeah. So we have Gardner Scott, who's been on your show too. We got Tony at Simplified Gardening. We got
Oh, yeah.
Mary's Heirloom Seeds and Chili Chump.
Oh,
So
yeah. All
over
right.
all 4 of them, you have over 1 million subscribers, and they all gel together. You got to have people that gel together.
Oh, it's so cool. I'm so excited for it to come out.
Yeah.
There's so much good information and really hot topics that we had put together for everyone to talk about. And,
Yeah.
Plus everyone that we had on, like Joe said, everyone's super cool, and they all had really awesome things to say. So I can't wait.
And we want to be different from everybody. Everybody tries to be the same. We try to be different. So we're talking about the soil. Not many channels talk about soil. Everything's about feeding the plant. Well, our channel's about feeding the soil for a happy plant. So it's totally taking different aspects on our show, such as biochar. And not many people use biochar. Cover crops. Not many people use cover crops. I mean, fertilizer is going to be out. There's not 10 years from now, there's not going to be fertilizer as there is today. So people are going to need to really learn how to grow differently.
Yeah.
And that's what's really great about being able to bring on guests like that and have these sort of conversations about this sort of stuff and get different viewpoints and really dig into everybody's knowledge. I think, I'm really, really excited about checking that out too. Like you said, Gardener Scott is a huge friend of our show. He participates in a monthly Q&A garden chat with us each and every second Sunday of the month on our Sunday show. And Tony as well. He's been a guest on our show already this last season and will be coming up here in the next month or so for one of our book clubs that we have, as we started our book club this year. So, I'm really excited to, have them on our show, but I'm going to definitely go and check out your interview because I'd like to see them talking together and getting to get that sort of conversation. I think that's really awesome. Yeah. All right. Anyways, real quick, last question for you all here. What are, let's actually talk about some gardening. What's going on in your gardens right now? What's happening? I know you guys kind of live a little bit north, in Jersey and Ohio, right?
Yes.
So, so what's going on in Ohio? How is gardening going on for you?
So far it's at a standstill. It snowed last night, so we're getting different types of weather. It's the March. It came in like a lion, and now it's going out. No, it came in like a lamb, and now it's going out like a lion. We're getting tons of snow, but it's okay. I got my peas in the ground already, and I'm just doing my cold crops, my cold weather crops right now. We had issues last year with the frost and stuff. And usually we can plant by May 8th and I can have everything in the grounds by then. But last year I had tons of frost in between, like it was crazy. And so I had to keep going out there and covering up my plants. So this year we are doing it a little bit differently and not putting things in the ground until like the end of May. So that gave us time to start our plants. So not everybody that I know of right now in Ohio has already pretty much started their stuff. So we're not going to start anything until next weekend. And that will give us plenty of time to make sure our plants are safe. And especially with tomatoes, because once it gets cold, it stunts their growth. And then, then you don't get big tomato plants and stuff like that. So, so it's working out really good. And somebody said they're from Northwest. I'm in Northeast Ohio. Hello, Sam.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So definitely just a little bit cooler weather, a little bit more time for you to take there. And ultimately too, again, is Joe's mentioned a couple of times, we talk about soil and soil's participation in the outcomes of what we get from our plants. And that's a real important one at the beginning of the season too, is we talk a lot about zones or, last frost dates and these sort of things like that. But really one key factor we really need to be looking at is soil temperature. especially in your warmer season plants like tomatoes, is making sure that you've got a good soil temperature. I'd say at least above 50. You know, you want to make sure that is really before you're starting to put those right into the ground. Maybe a little warmer optimally, but I think they'll do all right. Anything below that, again, is going to start creating shock in the plant and do everything else that outside cold is doing. But when you're hitting that root structure, then you're really kind of setting your plant back for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with like tomatoes and peppers and stuff. You definitely don't want to put them out there. When it's, you can have the risk of frost. So we're changing things up this year, but I do a market garden. So I have hundreds of tomato plants that I'm going to be putting in the ground, and I don't want them to get messed up. So, but yeah, it's crazy.
When we put so much time in things, we want to make sure that we're getting things just right.
For sure.
And making sure those things, because we don't want to,
I don't know about everybody else.
Long season, and we want the plant to have the opportunity.
I get like heart flutters this time of year. I'm like, should I put this out? Is it going to die? Oh my God. So yeah.
Right, for sure. So how about for you over in New Jersey? It's just a little bit of different climate for you over there, right?
Well, yeah, we've been having a lot of rain. It was 39 degrees yesterday afternoon. No snow, so we're good with that. But I try not to plant anything or our summer vegetables until May 15th. So next week I'll start putting some brassicas out. Just hoping. I usually do it on a weekend or 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's either one of those because I work all day. So I'll be planting my lettuce, my peas, and all kind of things like that. At the same time, I still got to do a lot of cleanup from last year. Lots of cleanup. It's been a mess out there.
Yeah. I've got
been able to recover. It's not easy
right now.
And taking off a day of work or two would really help that. So maybe next week to get a lot of stuff done. But last year I planted over 3,000 hot pepper plants, had everything planted, and then I had to work because we were having our wedding anniversary. And so we wanted to have a party, and there's other things we needed to do. So I basically worked for a whole 3 weeks, 18, 20 hours a day. No doubt. Came back. Okay, I'm ready to go to the garden. I got all my fence, got all my material, got money saved up. Came back. All the deer basically ate 3/4 of the plants, tomato plants, pepper plants, zucchini. I'm like, oh, you got to be freaking kidding me. I was like right there to get done. So I got to put a fence up. That's my number one thing I want to do out back is put a nice large fence up. I do have some foxes back there. I got some good stuff for the soil food web, that's for sure. But I have layers of leaves that have been put down in my neighbor's property for at least 15 years. Yeah. So with all the microbes you get from under that is going to be absolutely amazing for my garden this year. And I'm super excited to put that down. And super excited. I'm super excited for the year. Grow Big 24. We also asked some challenges for anybody new in the chat too. We have 6 challenges out, and winners could get $100. It's all about growing your biggest vegetable. So it's the watermelon radish, the Dr. Ritchie tomato, the Peter pepper, the sunflowers, sunflower, zucchini,
and the zucchini, yeah.
Oh, and watermelon radish. Did I get them all? I don't know.
No, you did. You're good.
I put them all together.
Excellent.
Yeah, I can't wait for those competitions. I can't wait to see how everybody's going to grow. I can't put anything in the ground yet. I'm half tempted on my radishes, but I can't do it just yet.
So when people do these videos, because they got to make 3 videos, and now all of a sudden they have to measure it. So they got to measure the Peter pepper. You got to measure the sunflower. It's quite entertaining videos they got to make. But again, it's community. You got to involve your community. And that's the number one thing we want to do. When you have gardeners, farmers, you can be 70 years old, you're still learning. Not everybody knows everything. We could put stuff in our pocket. And that's what I recommend to everybody here. Put stuff in your pocket. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you and you choose something different, let it be. But, we're all here to learn, have fun. grow. You know, gardening's supposed to be an oasis of relaxment, you know, people being relaxed and be able to breathe. It's the best stress reliever out there. Have fun doing it. Have fun in this chat. Have fun growing, you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's what it's all about, and that's what we're here for. That's what our shows are for. That's what, you know, that's what we do all of this for. And I think, like it's like you said, that's a really, I might have to come up with something myself maybe for this next season or something. But I think that, like you said, it's a great way to involve people and have fun challenges and be able to feature that sort of stuff on your show as well too. So again, really great to have you here, have you join with us here for our show this week, and really appreciate both of you being here with us. I mean, I know there's a ton of people who are already here who watch your channel or anything, but if there's anybody who is in the chat and hasn't subscribed to Grow Big TV or participate in their live streams, definitely get down below into our comments section there, where we do have a link to Grow Big TV there for everybody to go and subscribe and check out everything you've got going on. So again, thank you two so much for joining with us here this week.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
This is
thank you
awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody in the chat, for all the support. We appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Every one of you. I know almost every one of you. So thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Again, too, just another kind of example of great gardening community and what we're here doing, what we do. You know, whether it's your show on Grow Big TV with Joe and Korky, again, link down in the description, or it's right here on Let's Get Growing every weekend, Saturday and Sundays here. You know, we've all got great guests and great people joining with us with great conversation, bringing our community together to have those great conversations. And not only that, for people to get in and join in and participate with the conversations as well. That's one of the fun things about doing these live streams.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So definitely go check out Grow Big TV, and we'll check you guys all out here in just a few minutes with our featured guest, James Prigioni.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible featured visits.
Hi everyone, this is Sarah with Sarah's Seed Shop again. The answer to this week's trivia question is B, Michihili. Michihili cabbage is also known as Chinese or Napa cabbage. It's a favorite addition to many Oriental dishes, and right now is the perfect time to plant it. To get your Michihili seeds and lots of other garden seeds, head on over to Sarah's Seed Shop, where you can find garden seeds at unbeatable prices. Thanks and have a great day.
All right. What an awesome, fun little conversation there with Grow Big TV's Joe and Korky. Really awesome to have them on our show with us this week. Again, I know a lot of you already show them tons and tons of support as they see all these great comments in our chat here with us on the live stream today. And again, like I said, if you haven't though, and you've just met Joe and Korky and haven't subscribed, definitely get down below there and click on the link we have in the description to their channel. And And yeah, real quick here too, I noticed there was, and here's the thing, when you get questions that are just for me specifically, and we're in the conversation with our guests, try to keep it to them. So I'll try to highlight some of these questions that are for me that come up so we can get to them just a little bit. So there was a question that came up during the conversation here from Serena, and she was asking, when I get my potatoes March 29th, what should I do before planting them? Excellent. Well, I mean, I've done several different things. Some people will cut their potatoes, and so they can get different plantings and separate the different eyes onto different pieces. I've done that before and I've gotten both types of results, all right results and not so good results. And I've planted whole ones right into containers and gotten same, all right results sometimes, good ones, and not so sometimes too. So I mean, I've had kind of a little bit of experience on kind of both of those situations. So again, if it's big enough, I'll cut them in half. I think that having as much kind of of the potato that the plant can derive its first energy to grow out from is kind of as much of that as you can keep together is possibly helpful to the plant. So that's kind of what I would say. So I'd take the bigger ones and I would cut those. And if you do cut them, you want to let them sit out for a little while. You want to let them sit out for, a day or two and make sure that where you cut it is kind of hardened up and kind of basically healed in a sense and kind of hardened up, dried up, so that it's not just raw being put into the soil where it's just really susceptible to all of the other types of, all the sort of things that are growing on in our soil that'll just love to feast on the inside of those potatoes and everything. So you want the plant to be able to draw as much energy off of the potato, because that's what it's really doing. That's how that tuber is surviving throughout the winter and making it to the next season, is utilizing that energy in the potato itself. And then and then, like I said, you can let them sprout a little bit if you want. I kind of let them just sprout just a little bit. I do have potatoes that I have from last season that I'll be planting out actually this next week myself. And those have been just kind of sitting around in a bag that I had, kind of closed up a paper bag to kind of keep them dry and just kind of put away for the winter time. And so open it up and we got a bunch of eyes and all of growth on them all over the place. So we're going to go plant those out as well too. I've done that before, and had, similar results. It's just, potatoes are potatoes for some reason. For me, when it comes down to it, I don't always get the best results out of what I'm growing, but I always get something, and that's why I grow plenty. And I was also, I think, mentioning to this next week I will be or this last week I was mentioning that I'll be planting out my potatoes this next week, but I'm going to be reintroducing doing containers. We grew some potatoes last year in our outdoor plot. In one of our large plots in my friend's front yard that we have these couple of these big 20-foot by 40-foot plots. So we planted out a bunch of potatoes in ground. All of those did really excellent, but container potatoes, it's kind of what I have a lot of, what I really only have space for in some instances when we're growing around here. So I've had some really kind of back and forth results when it comes to doing that as well too. So in the ground's probably the best. You can cut them if you want. Let them get a little eyes at least, I think, is a good way to do that. But really, if you're getting them and you're ordering them from, say, a seed company or whatever, you could probably just plant them as soon as you get them, because they've already kind of timed it out for you in a sense. That's why they usually only send out potatoes at certain times of year in order to make sure they've got that all set up. So if you're talking about ordering them, as you've mentioned a date there, then you probably just find planting those right out if you want to, or again, if you want to cut them, wait a couple of days in order to let them dry up and then put them out. So that's kind of my advice on potatoes. Again, take it with what you will. I mean, like I said, I've had good results. I believe last year I had really excellent. I even had volunteer potatoes last year, which was really awesome. So, in ground, like I said, always the best results. But again, too, if you're limited on space, which a lot of us are, or you know, or at least me from my channel and what we do, you know, it's small spaces and urban gardening, you know, container gardening. So what, you know, a lot of people are kind of have to go with, and there's ways you can do that and grow potatoes and be successful growing them as well too. All right. And let's see here. Okay, well, I really appreciate everybody in the comments section jumping in with all of these awesome comments and being a part of the conversation here. Let's see. Yes, actually, I totally agree. Fantastic and timely question. Yep, it is timely. Like I said, it's right that time, and again too is probably why, you know, you know, you'll be getting your potatoes at this time. It's that time. It's time to plant potatoes. You know, in fact, last week was St. Patrick's Day, and that's just kind of one of those kind of like holiday indicators for people. So they utilize that as kind of a reminder. St. Patrick's Day is about the time we want to start planting potatoes. And again, that also does matter about where you're growing at too. Kind of like what we talked about with Korky there in Ohio. She's still got some freezing weather, you know, and I'm sure when she goes out, the soils gets pretty hard, you know, and when, if that's the situation, then you're gonna have to kind of wait until the soil's workable, you know, at least to get them in and going. But you know, hopefully everybody get theirs and get them in the ground real soon here too. Okay, all right. So again, everybody, thank you so much here for joining with me here on today's show. Again, I want to remind everybody we are about to start our featured guest segment here with our good friend James Prigioni from the gardening channel with James Prigioni, and this is a pre-recorded interview, so I hope you all really enjoy it. I will be in the comment section there chatting with everybody, saying hi or answering questions if you have any questions or anything like that. We'll do our best we can through that and continue the conversation. I think that's one of the great things I love about these live streams and doing these shows, is that not only do we talk and discuss what we're discussing here on the show and everything, but you all get to have these really great conversations and back and forth with each other through our chat feature here on the live stream. So it's really fun to see that. So I'm going to jump in the chat box here when we get started with our featured guest interview here with James Prigioni. So let's get that started.
You never know when you might learn something, and that's what this is about for me. These are people that I admire. Please welcome my next guest.
All right, and now time for that conversation. James, thank you so much for joining with us today on the Let's Get Growing show.
No problem, Nick. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Really great to have you here. I want to jump right in and dig into your garden story here. And I'm sure a lot of people who are watching right now are pretty familiar with your channel and everything that you've been doing and growing and all that over the years. But I want to really kind of dig in and start with, like, where did this whole garden adventure start for you? What was like your first gardening experience?
First garden experience, when I was very young, my mom had a garden. So I just remember, and my neighbor in the back, she was an older woman. She grew green beans and stuff. So I remember snacking on that. But when I was younger, I mostly just played sports. So I wasn't into gardening or any of those kinds of things. And then as I got a little older, it's kind of silly how it happened, but I mean, it's how it happened. I was getting into health a little bit on Netflix back when, earlier kind of Netflix, they had a bunch of documentaries. There was a documentary, Fresh, and it was just about like the food industry and stuff, but Joel Salatin was featured in it. So I saw him featured in it, and then I was like, this guy's awesome. I really loved some of the things he had to say. So then I was like, you know what? Let me look into this guy a little more. Yeah. I picked up one of his books, You Can Farm. I have it right behind me, I think. And I was like, oh my gosh, man, that guy got me going. I was really interested in it. And then I picked up a few of his other books. And then with it in his books, he would talk about permaculture. And then he referenced Bill Mollison. So then after I read some of his books, I looked in the index and I found permaculture in there. And then that kind of started me on a whole different wave.
Yeah, the grandfather of permaculture, Bill Mollison, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
Excellent. So you get
Great.
these books and you start reading. Had you already kind of started gardening at all, or is this just something that once you started reading this book, it was like, hey, I've got to get on this?
Yeah, it was like just like more getting into health, and then I saw fresh, and I was like, oh, I should try to grow some of my own food, and then I saw the Joel Salatin stuff, and then originally it wasn't even. I mean, I always liked gardening, but it wasn't too much just gardening. It was more like I liked all the stuff Joel was doing, and then I found permaculture, and then I saw the stuff that they were doing, and then when I saw food forest, I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I was like, I need to make one in my backyard. I bet I could do it.
Right.
I watched people like Bill Mollison, and then I watched Jeff Lawton, one of my favorites, some of the food forest videos that he did, and like just going around and seeing it. And I was like, I mean, then I started to see the vision. I was like, oh, I got to try to at least get this going in my backyard. So I went crazy like a lot of people do. I was like, I need to get as many fruit trees as I can. I went to like Home Depot and Lowe's.
Knows that, right?
Exactly. I went to like Home Depot and Lowe's at the end of the year. I got like fruit trees on sale. They used to be like $7 when they were on sale. So I just picked up a bunch of them and started throwing stuff in the ground.
That was really like your first real adventure, was starting right with the trees and things, which is something I tell people. I was like, if you're starting something out, you've got the space and you've got that, start with trees. They're the one thing that's going to take the longest in the way, and you're going to care for the longest, and they're always going to be there, really. So it's really one of the best things to get started with. So that's how you got started, was with the trees.
Oh yeah, 100%. I just the idea of a forest, I mean, just the concept kind of blew my mind. Where I liked permaculture a lot, but then I had found that gardening was my favorite, subset of permaculture.
Yeah.
Once I started doing it. But I mean, I got a bunch of trees in my first garden too. I had just put a few trees in. It was just like a small garden that I like had. There used to be an in-ground pool there. So I just like threw a couple seeds in the ground. I had no clue what I was doing. It was all sand. There's one or two tomato plants in there, but then I got like a harvest from some of the things. So it was like to see the story of taking a seed, putting it in the ground, watching it grow throughout the year, and then harvesting it. I had never been a piece of that whole entire story. And then it felt really rewarding. Like, I like building things. I like taking things from like having nothing, and then a few hours later, all of a sudden it's a greenhouse. It's a something. You build something that's nothing, and then it's something. But then I found that gardening is very similar to that, but it's on a much more extended time period. But it's super rewarding to be like to have nothing and turn into something.
Yeah, and I really think it's that, because of that time period it takes, we're creating this connection in a way that's we're developing a relationship in the long run. You know what I mean? And so it's that 100%. Connection that we're taking with things. And I really like that. How old were you again? You said you got started just a little bit later when you first started your first garden?
Probably in my 20s. Well, I had finished college, and then I was unsure kind of what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And then I found permaculture gardening. I was like, this is what I want to do. But I didn't know how to make a living kind of out of it, or how to make I didn't know how to, I know I didn't want to get a big farm, huge farm, and like get a bunch of tractors and plant rows and rows of corn. I knew I didn't want to do that. That's not what interested me. Right. I knew what interested me was like different than a way to monetize it. So I know that like teaching is a good way to get people involved, to make a difference, but then also to kind of, to turn it into a life as opposed to just a hobby.
Yeah. I got started myself just a little bit later in life myself. I think I was in my 30s, maybe young 30s, and started with just a cucumber plant a friend gave me. I mean, I've been growing plants my whole life. That's how my garden story started. My mother grew house plants. She taught me how to grow house plants, at a very young age and all of that. But it wasn't until I was like in my early 30s that I discovered that you can actually grow your own food. And it never occurred to me, because all I ever really lived in was apartments, you know what I mean? Or small houses. And never really thought about venturing out into doing that. But when I grew that first cucumber, it was just like this light bulb hit, this is what I want to do. And then I'll say, one of the things that, similar to you, like you're talking about, you didn't want to start with farming. When I first started gardening and growing, and I was watching YouTube, I was watching all these sort of different people doing different things. But one of the things that really caught my eye, and I before I even thought about doing a YouTube channel, what I wanted to do was front yard farming. there was a gentleman up in Canada who was doing that, and I was like, man, this is such a great idea. And I worked at this place and had all of these clients who, when I would talk about this sort of thing, oh, you could use my front yard, you could use
really?
my
Oh,
backyard,
cool.
and it was just like the person who was doing this was saying, was like, all you have to do is ask, people will let you use this stuff. All you got to trade some food and everything. But then I looked into, like, well, there's a lot of overhead here. You got to do, it's not just, going and plowing out some front yards and doing all this sort of stuff. So then the whole thing was like, okay, that's probably not going to work out. And then obviously right after that, I had gotten started in doing the YouTube and starting filming things and all of that. But really, really fun.
Yeah. I feel like
not quite a farmer, I don't think.
No. I mean, you seem like you're into tech. You've got a great setup. It looks beautiful and stuff. So I think you kind of have to have an interest also. I had a strong interest in making videos too. And that was one of my inspirations for even getting into gardening. I been making videos since I was a kid, just like for fun here and there. But then when I did watch that documentary, when I found out about permaculture, one of the first things I did was go on YouTube and look up permaculture. That's how I found Jeff Law and then a bunch of other people doing it. And then one of the inspirations for me was I didn't find a lot of people doing it. I remember I would type in permaculture on YouTube and just hit like the newest ones. And then I would check every day and there just wasn't a lot of them. I was like, oh man, someone's got to get on here and start making some videos.
Yeah. See, you sound just like me when I was first getting started. I was just like, I was hooked on the YouTube and trying to learn and get as much as I can from everything. I learned more about permaculture through, trying to figure out gardening and small space gardening, because I wanted to, I grew that cucumber out on this little balcony of an apartment, and I was like, well, what else can I do? And then kind of like what you mentioned just a little previously too, is that all of us gardeners, I think, once we get that bug, boom, we go crazy with it. And I went crazy, man.
Exactly. That's like one of the things I tell new gardeners, like, I know you're excited, but just take it, start small, because I see one of the big problems new gardeners have is like, they'll be like me and you, they'll be super aspirational the first year. Then they take on way more than they can. And then they do poorly because they have too big of an area to focus on. Speaking
from experience, right?
Yeah.
And what I tell people is, I'll tell you, I'm going to give you this piece of advice, but I know you're not going to listen to me.
Yeah.
But speaking from experience, tone it down a little bit, because you're going to want to, but we all go at it and it's fun anyways. But it is probably the best advice, if you really want to learn, if you want to see some early success, because it took me a while to start seeing early successes,
exactly. And then, but if you can get some early wins, then you can they'll domino into each other. Then it becomes more encouraging the next year, because gardening is just similar to planting a tree or starting a YouTube channel or anything. It's like the best time is 7 years ago. The second best time is today. But then you have to realize, like I try to tell people too, the harvest, you have to think of the knowledge compounding over time, and that's how the harvest will too. So the first year, if you get anything, you're happy. And then the second year and then the third year, you don't even know how much you don't even realize how much you've learned over those first couple of years that you can then apply to the third year. So it's like you have to invest a little bit of time the first couple of years just to make mistakes and learn. And then the harvest start coming in after you start learning little things, because I call it like, you almost have to have the gardener's eye to know when something needs to be changed. But the first year or two, you're so over top of it. You're watering every day because you want to do it right. And then you're over watering. And the next year you hold back too much and you're not watering enough. So it's just like, there almost becomes like a feel that happens with it. It's like when grandma cooks something, it always tastes better when she makes it, but it's the same ingredients. There's this little, it's like gardening too. There's these little tweaks that need to be made here and there just at the right time to make all the difference. But without putting in the years and getting some of the knowledge and understanding, then it's just not going to happen. So
yeah, it's definitely one of those things that we can try to show people, through the videos and that sort of thing. But really, ultimately, you need to be out there experiencing. You need to be figuring that out, because that's when it's going to start to click with you. That's when you're going to start to figure things out, is through your own connection, you know, with your garden, with your plants, and figuring those sort of things out. And, you know, make some mistakes, kill some plants, you know, I mean, that's just the way it works, right? I mean, I think I did almost everything wrong those first couple of years because I was just so excited about doing it. I wasn't even really looking into everything. I was just buying every seed pack on the shelf, sticking seeds in the ground, not caring what season it is, you know. Like I always share with people, one of the biggest things I remember as I was learning was garlic. Because here I am first starting my garden. I'm going and I knew and understood that you grow it from the cloves. I knew that much.
Yeah.
But I would go and stick these into the little cell things, the little cloves into the cell things, you know, in spring as I'm planting all my other seeds, and they're not doing anything. And I grew, you know, and it took me like 2 seasons of trying to do this. And I'm like, man, I really need to look this up and figure this out because it's not working out for me. And once I figured that out, and man, I grow some of the best garlic. I got 300 heads of garlic over at my friend's place now. You know, from two bulbs that a friend of mine sent me a couple of years, I think just 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
And then just reinvesting, grabbing some, saving them. Do you know what variety it is?
It's a German hardneck of some sort.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, they are really good. And I was growing all sorts, you know, I was growing just, you know, the first ones were just going to the organic section of the supermarket
and grabbing them.
And learning. And then after that, I was learning that, oh yeah, these are soft necks versus hard necks and those sort of things later on and everything. But it's one of my favorite things that I just really enjoy the most, and really one of those first gardening learning curves that I found is one of my first early successes and figuring this out. I've got this down, you know, and then
and then you come and you learn that, and then next year it's a different one, and then within a couple of years you've got you know how to do all of it basically, and then that's when all the harvests come in. It starts to be like
and then that's when everybody, and for me at least, I grow in alleyways, and you know, I'm in a really kind of an open environment for everybody seeing. So again, that's kind of when people start to notice too.
100%.
Yeah.
Same thing with the neighbors too.
Oh, wow. And neighbors, friends.
Peeking over the fence.
Yeah. They're like, what? You're growing all this? You can do all of that?
Yeah. My mistakes start a lot of them with fruit trees too. I went out and bought the cheapest possible fruit trees I could get because I wanted to get them in. But then a couple of years later, I'm like, I'm growing red, delicious apples. I don't even want to eat those necessarily. Then I started to learn, like, I got to get the good varieties. Got like the ones that I wanted, Honeycrisp. Williams.
So did you go about replacing them?
Yeah. Now most of them I replaced. Yeah. Some people say, everyone always says you should graft it. You should graft it. But the thing with some trees like apples and pears and stuff is once the trees are established, if you cut back a lot of it, then you get so much regrowth, which are water shoots, which if you do too much in 1 year, then it's all water shoots and the tree becomes hard to control. So it's like a thing that has to be done over years. So I found I also just got like semi-dwarf trees mostly, and now I'm switching more to like dwarf trees. A number of them I have now. Like dwarf trees, in my opinion, are so much better. They're so much easier to manage. And like around here, I'm on the East Coast. There's this one bug called the plum curculio, and it goes after all the fruit. And you have to spray it with this clay. It's an organic clay.
Yeah.
So if you have a huge tree, it's just you're spraying like crazy. It's hard to cover. It's not as much fun as having like a nice dwarf tree. It's just covered with apples. I can plant 2 dwarf trees instead of 1 semi-dwarf, and then get the different varieties, which you could have multi-grafted trees, but I found that single grafted trees usually tend to do better because a lot of times there's one dominant. There's one species that's a little more dominant than the other one.
Yeah, definitely. And one of these too, luckily for you got some in-ground space. For me, I don't have the ability to plant fruit trees into the ground. So what we do around here is we grow them right out of containers, you know. So that's one of the fun things, is also being able to show people that you can even have some fruit trees in your back patio and those sort of things as well too.
Yeah, they have
really awesome frost peach right out there. That's just
they have a lot of trees now that are just I forget what they call them. What is it when they're columnar, where it's like columnar apples, where it's just like one stalk and it produces on it. Yeah. And same thing with the peaches, but I know some of those varieties aren't great.
In fact, I think I have one of those in the back, right? Yeah, it just kind of goes straight, basically. It grows
Yeah, they fruit
right
just like
down.
they're like made for
Right.
pots. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
of what I've heard, the varieties aren't as good as something like a frost peach is a good. It's a classic. I like the frost because it blooms later than some of my other peaches. I have a few. I have different ones that bloom at different times. So if I have a late frost, then my early peach can get affected. But the frost usually flowers later for me, so protects me from the frost.
Yeah.
That's why I like a bunch of varieties too. Just
That's what I got to do is start getting and widening my varieties out. But I really enjoy my peach. But I am worried about it because of our weather. Like you're saying, we still possibly have some more freezes ahead of us, and I'm already starting to see these flowers starting to want to pop
Oh
up,
yeah.
So I'm like, so I'm out there trying to cover it when I need to and stuff, and hoping I can hold on to it. We had a really good frost or a harvest a couple of seasons ago. I mean, I pulled off like just dozens of fruit off of this, in a container. I think it's like about 7-8 gallon container.
There's nothing like fresh peaches. They're one of the best all-time fresh fruits off a tree.
Oh my gosh, there's just nothing like peach juice going down your chin, right?
Yeah. I remember one of my harvest videos, I'm grabbing a peach, I go to bite it, and it just squirts out all over the camera. I'm like,
oh, that's perfect shot.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, we got to wave the camera. I'm like, that was perfect.
Exactly. Right on. Yeah. And so definitely I love the idea of trees. Getting started with trees is really important too. I think that's one of the things I talk about a lot too on my channel. And
yeah, I like I have this view of it where it's like my perennials are like background things and my trees and stuff. So it's like the funny and cool thing about trees, in my opinion, is a lot of the work is done in the off season. So like the pruning, some of the maintenance for it. But then when the actual season comes, there's not that much work that needs to be done for me, just besides like spraying them once or twice. So you have some perennials, they're like employees in the background that work during the busy season when you could focus on the annuals during that season. So I like the contrast of times, and it kind of allows one person to do more as opposed to and it's not, instead of getting all the work at once. So that's why I enjoy going out and pruning my trees in the off season. I don't have that much to do. And then once the busy season comes, then I'm focused more on the annual. So it's just nice to have different, use time to your advantage in a sense in that kind of way.
Yeah. So all right. So what are some of those, when you were first getting started, besides the trees, what are some of those other first things that you were really maybe talking about, like your annual garden, that sort of thing? What are those first things that you're getting started with yourself?
First things was tomatoes and peppers, because I mean, I don't know, there's something about growing tomatoes, just the favorite, the number of varieties and stuff too. So there was tomatoes and peppers. I kind of did what you did. I just went and bought a bunch of seed at a random place. And I didn't have much money or anything. So I would go to like the dollar store even at the end of the year and just get, like, they'd sell for 10 cents. And I'd buy everyone buckets of seeds and then just use them next year. So I just had like the standard seeds. But that was the first year, probably peppers, tomatoes, and then some watermelon and stuff. And then after that, I started to do a little more research. And then I found a company like Fedco, if you ever use them.
Oh yeah,
seeds, like cheap seeds, but
fantastic. One of my favorite catalogs.
Me too. Yeah, all the drawing
the illustrations are great, huh?
Yeah, and they're like nonprofit, so they really will they'll get your bang for your buck. So I started there and then started expanding into some different varieties and stuff. And then, I mean, like most people, you think before you start gardening, a tomato is a tomato. You don't think I'm grow a tomato. You don't realize there's thousands of different varieties.
Yeah.
So then, once I found that out too, I was just like, I want to try this one. I'll try this one. I'll try that one. Last year I grew
part of that beginning experience, right? It's like, okay, I want to grow all this stuff, and then you go to look at what and then you're like, whoa, wait a minute, I wasn't expecting that. All of these varieties of everything I wanted to do, because again, too, for me, when I'm associating food is from the grocery store.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Before I started growing it for myself, all I'm thinking about is, just orange carrots, or
Yeah.
or just the red normal, hothouse tomatoes, those sort of things. And then to go see the seed shelf and see that there are different colored carrots.
I know.
There's
It's mind blowing.
these dark heirloom tomatoes, and all this sort of stuff was just like, oh wait, okay, now I've really got to get this going.
Exactly. That's how it was for me. And then like even finding Baker Creek seeds, looking up heirloom stuff, seeing their stuff, like, oh, I got to do this.
Oh,
and now I think I've almost grown. I've grown so many different kinds of stuff. Now I'm always looking for the new stuff that they got. But
yeah,
tomatoes are probably one of my favorites. I love doing them. And then when I learned to grow them vertically, that really just made it even more fun for me, because I was able to plant way more in the amount of space that I have. And now I love creating areas where it's like they're growing up steaks, bunch of different tomatoes. I'm just walking down the center, and it's like, it just feels like I made an old video that never did good, but it was a fun one. It was like in peak season, it was like a Willy Wonka video. It was like, that's how you feel like when you're out there. There's like grabbing tomatoes here, cucumbers here, like anything you could think of. Around here, like mid-June, that actually probably like late June, it happens where there's just so many things to harvest that you don't even know what to do, and you feel like a kid in a candy store. And then now that's what I love, just creating that. It's just so much fun for me.
There's nothing like when the garden is just flush full of things everywhere. Just just go grab everything. And I do most of my eating just fresh from the garden even. And you're talking about trellising tomatoes, or I do believe I remember a video if you were trellising even up your trees.
Yeah, I did that last year because I pruned my peach trees really to an open center. You know what I mean? Especially my older trees. So it leaves a lot of space in the center. So I'm like, let me just throw some tomatoes in there. And they did great. Super Sweet 100s. I mean, they're such a productive tomato. So yeah, that was fun to do. I'm always trying to think of different ways to not only to grow more food, but to make it more exciting for me to get out there. I tell people, don't grow stuff you like to eat, but just grow something that's going to excite you, because the more you get out there, the more time you spend out there, the better things are going to be. So it's like, even if you grow something that isn't just for food, just something to get you out there.
Yeah, and I always say too, if there's things you haven't tried, grow some things that you've never tried before to have a new experience, and then, if you don't like it, move on to something else, that sort of thing. And it always keeps that kind of experimenting and trying new things, out of the whole gardening experience, because when we're gardening, and you kind of mentioned this too, is that, over time, we're kind of finding these things that are almost, pretty much mainstays, things we're going to consistently grow. And then from there, we want to try these new things just to kind of, bring a little excitement to our garden,
Exactly. And flowers too. I mean, I've been adding more flowers this year. I'll add more flowers. They're just so nice. Just nice to go out there, and there's Eastern goldfinches like working on my zinnias and stuff, just eating it, just like butterflies on a lot of the stuff. It's sometimes I just got to take a step back and like look at everything, because I can get focused on what I'm doing and keep my head down. And then sometimes I'll finally take my head back up, and I'm like, whew, this is why I do it. This is why it makes it worth it.
Yes, exactly. And it took me a little while to get into flowers myself. I spent all this time with the food and all this sort of stuff. I didn't pay attention to the flowers for a while. So I don't know if you had this similar experience, but I'd had my garden now for a few years. And then I started really introducing flowers all over the garden. And I think by the time another season from there, I'd had a good amount of flowers now that I was growing everywhere. And because of that, I do believe, and I swear I saw more production out of my garden by adding the flowers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I started with the flowers through getting into like companion planting, and then I fell in love with like the borage, a great flower. There's a book that I have. I've shared it many times. One of my favorites. I think I got it for 75 cents on one of those websites. It's called Carrots Love Tomatoes.
Oh,
and it's an old companion book. And then in there, it talked a lot about flowers, a lot about like borage and marigolds and a lot of beneficial flowers. So the first year I threw some of those in, and I was like, this is nice. But now I've just expanded to planting all different kinds of flowers too, to add in the beauty. But then, like you said, you get more production, and it's not something you could literally quantify the reason why. But I think some of it is because it's just like some things get along and some things don't. Some plants, just like people, and so like plants, there's things that get along, they grow better by them. And then Bill Mollison likes to say, like, you don't want to, if you plant a whole, he plants everything on the edges, which is like 4 feet wide. But when you plant a whole field of something and a bug or something's flying by, they can see that, a pest, and go right for it. But if you have flowers or other stuff planted with them, then they may hesitate. And then when they hesitate, something else can predate on them. So it's just like this masking and hiding the plants within and using flowers to deter. So I think it's super important to have flowers in it. It makes a big difference. And I think we know that just by seeing it, even not even by knowing it, how good it looks. There's something to it.
Yeah, it definitely, you know, it definitely brought that extra added necessity to my garden. I think, you know, it's just that, you know, flowers, and again, like I said, it took me a little while to catch on to it because I was really just into growing the food. But then once you realize, you know, you add these things, you're not just adding beauty, but you're adding all these other pollinators and just, you know, I find a lot of excitement, you know, in looking around. But when I start seeing like all of these, you know, when you're talking about the bugs and you start to see all this life going on everywhere and doing all that stuff, even the wasps, you know, even the spiders, you know, even all these things that people might be a little creeped out about and stuff, you know, I just find that enjoyment when I see that kind of life going on in the garden, you know, and you know that's got to be, you know, big reason why is that you're just creating such a great, you know, environment, you know, not just for, you know, not just for the plants, but everything else in the environment too.
Exactly. You're creating like your own micro ecosystem, which is like just once you get some of the balance in it, it just becomes just more of a natural environment that plants like growing in, insects like being in. It's this whole thing where you got to do it by feeling sometimes. It just feels right. That's why I always love the food forest, because I say it's a paradise for people, but it's a paradise for bugs, a paradise for squirrels, a paradise for everybody. That's why a garden is too. Everybody wants to get in. Sometimes you just got to do your best to keep them out. You know,
right?
The squirrels and the stuff. But I mean, everyone wants to be there. Everyone wants to come see the garden. Everyone wants to come visit. You want to be out there. So it's just, I find it incredibly rewarding to be able to grow that and just to be a part of it. And that's what like drives me to do it more than anything. People always say sometimes, what do you do with all those harvests? I just, you know, I spend so much time doing it that I don't have as much time to process it, making videos and stuff. So I just give a lot of it away to my neighbors, give it to friends. I like just love doing it. I love creating it.
Yeah, I'm one of those neighbors that you're going to come out one day and open your front door and there's just going to be a bunch of stuff right there.
Yeah, that's nice.
Front porch, you know, that sort of thing. Because I'm the very same way. You know, I love and get plenty of my own food from my garden, you know, but I like to grow and I love to, you know, expand my garden, do all these other things. So I end up with all this, you know, all this extra, you know, so I like to give away as much as I can. But then again, too, if we're properly gardening, there really isn't anything that's going to go to waste, even if, you know, even if it is going to go into the compost pile or, you know, we're going to have to feed it to the worm bins I've got, you know, those sort of things. And, you know, so that's really great. But,
yeah, it stays within that cycle of life and stuff. It all gets reprocessed back down into something else. And yeah, it's amazing. I love, like, I've thought about making videos about it, but I've never done it, where it's like this whole idea of turning the sun into food. And like, that's like, I just find that so interesting. You know what I mean? It's like you put a seed in the ground, a little fertilizer or whatever, and then you just like converting solar energy into something you can hold in your hand into food. It's just, it amazes me doing it. That's one of the reasons I fell in love with gardening. Just so many things just blew my mind. Even like the idea of the mycorrhizal association, the plants connecting into the fungus, going through the forest, that blew my mind. Yeah. And then even like legumes fixing nitrogen onto the roots. These little things were just like, I was mind blown, and they still blow my mind. It's hard to wrap your head around it, but
how complex that stuff is. And when you really dig into that, like right now, I'm really, you know, I've just been really like fascinated more with just the inner workings of soil, as there's more people doing more of that and producing more information on that stuff. And it's just, when you get to understand what's actually happening in there, and these just billions of organisms doing all of these different things, you know, that really ultimately are doing most of all of the work, you know what I mean, to get and produce all of these great plants that we have. And that stuff just fascinates me so much.
Oh yeah, me too. I got my worm bin too, and I love the worms out there. I call them my free employees. You know, you don't have to pay them; they work 24/7. So it's like, I love getting the mulch down. I've got the wood chips down. When I get the fungus working for me, I got the worms working for me. I got the bacteria working for me. It makes it so I don't have to do so much. I could do a lot more. All I got to do is get out there and throw the seed in.
Yeah, exactly. Right on. So, what are some of your biggest gardening challenges in your garden? What are some of those things that
challenge is definitely the plum curculio. I mean, I almost felt like a fraud for a couple of years, in a way of like, I was pushing food forest so much. You got to get a food forest going, and then I was really struggling with getting fruit for like a couple of years because of that one insect. You know, the plum curculio. It's like, it was just attacking all my fruit, and it's not something that you can't kill it, you can't stop it. It comes out multiple times in a year. So until I found the surround kale and clay to use, I was really struggling with getting consistent fruit. I mean, I would get apples one year, then one year I would get peaches, but it was so spotty that I felt like it was just what I wasn't getting consistent fruit. When I found out how to combat the plum curculio, well, it's not really combating it. All you can do is protect the tree, to protect the fruit, and then the insects don't go bite it. Yeah, because it's an insect where it cuts into the fruit when it's young and then lays eggs inside of it. But one of the insects could get 250 to 300 fruit in a day, and they go when they're tiny. So one of them could wipe out most of your harvest, and then they're all along the East Coast. So it's only thing you can do is try to protect the trees. And I only want to do it organic, so I couldn't just like use some kind of knockdown sprays or something. So when I found out, that made a massive difference for me, and now I make a lot of videos about it, trying to promote it to get it to other people, because it made me, I actually can get consistent fruit all the time from my food forest. Now the system truly works, and it makes me feel good that I can share with people that they can do it too. But for a couple of years, I was like, man, is this even worth it? Can I even do it? But it's just, I guess, learning over time too. So it makes me happy now that I can get it. That was definitely my biggest challenge to get started.
Yeah, and it's a good thing, you know, you're out there figuring that out, so that hopefully some people are going to be helped out by that, and they're going to have better trees and all of that for it. And pests, though, yes, I mean, pests are something else. I don't know. I just ran into this one pest this last year for the first time, and I've been growing peas for a while, but I don't know if you heard of that little pea weevil.
No, I haven't had issues with it yet.
Oh
Nightmare?
my, yeah. Oh, because what, you know, I love, you know, I grow a lot of peas, and I like the fresh peas, and that's one of the things. So I get tons, and I love them, and I'll eat them. I'll eat so many of those things right out of the garden, right? Like I said, right from outside. They'll barely make it to the kitchen and that sort of stuff. And so I get plenty of those. That's all right. But then by time I'm starting to let the plants go, and I'm going to let them continue to, I'm going to continue to try to harvest, but I'm going to take and try to get them to grow seed. Because what I want is to save seed for like because I love pea shoots. Pea shoot microgreens are like one of my favorite things. So I want to, save as much of these pea seeds I can to do my microgreens during the winter time, and man, this last year I had all of these. I got all the peas separated and everything, and then I was just noticing this weird looking indentation.
Oh no,
it's just a weird looking indentation. I'm like, what is that? And I didn't think much of it, but I had the seed set aside, and then I came back to it a little while later, and now those little indentations are a little black dot.
Oh,
what in the world is this black dot?
They're boring into it.
Yeah, it's a little bug that's inside of there. When you go, and I was like, what is this? And I'm poking around, and next thing you know, this little bug comes popping out and flying out. I'm like, what? And it just ruined almost every single day, the whole harvest, everything. Telling you, so that's my challenge this year. It's figuring out how to make sure that doesn't happen again this year.
How do they come in as? Do you know if they come in as a worm, or what are they? Is it like a fly and then and then
Yeah,
it bores in.
I think they leave, and I have to research this again too, as I'm getting ready to, I just planted my peas out this year, so I got to really get on top of it. But I believe it's like the lays an egg, larva climbs up into the pod or something like that, and then the bug just forms inside of the pea seed.
Okay, yeah. Finding out the different stages of it always helped me to try to find out when to attack it, when to prevent it.
Yeah, well, from what I remember reading, it is, you have to get it at a specific stage.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's
just timing it right. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which then you understand the timing, and then if you get it at the right time, then you're okay. It's the same thing I have with the cucula. You have to get it at the right time. If not, then you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But I had an issue with peas for a number of years. Like, I have resident birds that know my place now. The first year I didn't have as many issues with them, but they learned pretty quick where all the food was going to be in the spring and summer. So when I planted peas now, I'd go out there a couple of years ago, and I'm like, my peas, like, their young plants look great. I come back later in the day, they're torn to shreds. So all the birds were coming and just ripping them up, eating all the fresh shoots. So now I put insect netting around. I built little pea boxes to put insect netting around them. That makes all the difference. And then when I need to get them pollinated, I'll take the insect netting off, and then the birds will still go in there and pull some of the leaves. But at that point, the plant is so established that it doesn't really affect it. So, I mean, it seems like for almost every crop, there's little things that you have to learn. Yeah. And every location is different. And then once you kind of can learn those things from experience, then you could make your adjustments, and the harvest start. Yeah. Consistent.
Luckily for me, I ain't got too much to deal with, like with birds and rodents and these sort of things. I'm right in, urban gardening. Downtown's just a couple of blocks from me, that sort of thing. I'm right on an alleyway. But and actually, this is a kind of a nice little segue to something I'm surprised we haven't mentioned yet. But I have cats. I have two of my little garden buddies. George and Dexter, they keep things at bay for me as far as those things concerned. So my main challenges are the little bug pests that they don't take care of at all.
See,
but that leads me.
Yeah, I got something to say about that though. See, that is something that I didn't factor in the past, where I used to get better production. I used to get more nuts from my hazelnut trees. And I didn't realize till last year or the year before was I had a neighbor, and she had like 3 or 4 cats, and they used to wander around the neighborhood, and they would come in my backyard, and I had way less squirrel pressure. She's been gone for a few years, and now the squirrels run rampant. So I've looked into getting a cat, like a Maine Coon cat or something, just to have to work for the garden. But I feel bad for Tuck. I don't want to,
And see, that's what I was saying. There we go. We finally mentioned him. We're already, we got half an hour or so into this interview, and we have not mentioned the garden guardian.
Yep, the guardian of the garden. Yeah, he's the boss. He's the best, man. He's right behind you over here.
I think I really like about your show, and that is that because similar to me, as I share my garden with my little buddy. George is more of my garden companion. Dexter does his own thing, but he shows up every now and then when I'm out there. But it's great to have them there and just being your little, buddy hanging out with you. Whatever I'm doing, no matter where I'm at, he's just maybe 5-6 feet over doing something over there.
Yep, exactly. That's how Tuck is with me. It's his garden. He lets me work in it, but he comes with all the plans and all the ideas and everything, and I'm his opposable thumbs. I do some of the work for him. But he's a taskmaster, so he's got me out there a lot.
Yeah,
but plant carrots over here, and then I turn around and he's eating something, pulling a pepper down or something. But
and you talk about getting perfect shots. I mean, Tuck is just like so awesome with it. You just put something down and he's right on it. It's hardly ever does he snub a nose at anything.
I know, and he loves it. The thing is, when I started very similar to the same time that I got him. So every time he has like a connection with me where, like you said, he's 5 feet away. I can't go far without him being next to me. So it's been like that for years. So I've always been gardening through the years. And then it's just a natural thing. So I don't ask him. I don't try to get him to come outside. I don't get him to try to eat stuff.
Yeah.
It's more of lines. I got to try to keep him off of some of the stuff. And he's also developed this weird thing where, I guess it has something to do with me, where when I'm filming, either I'm speaking a different way or I'm doing something, acting differently, is when he'll go and grab stuff. So I don't know. It's like he's developed,
taking cues.
he's
And I
taking
was,
cues, exactly. And that's a
and
lot of it.
same thing with George. George, when I get the camera out there and I start talking to the camera, I think he just thinks I'm talking to him.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I have to I have to start the camera, and then like within like a minute or two, he's around my legs and he's a talker. So like if you can hear him, and so it's always like, George, what are you doing? You're like, most of those I cut out as outtakes and I put in it at the end of the video and that sort of stuff. But it's really, it's really great, to have that. And I think that's one of the things I really, really like about your channel. I think I really connect with is how, our relationships with our garden companions,
Exactly. And I love him out there. He's always got my back. He's always watching out for me. So it's nice to just have him around. And he's getting a little older now, but he's still doing well. He's so dedicated. It's funny.
Yeah. Well,
I'll be out there just like shivering, watching, trying to stay outside with me.
Yeah. I did see that he was having some issues this last year, but he's been doing well.
Yeah. He has a collapsing trachea, which is super common for the kind of dog that he is. So he just like his airway gets restricted when he's breathing out. So we have to got him on some medicine and like a little dog inhaler, which I think is essentially just Flonase, just like to help him breathe better. But he goes through seasons where he doesn't do as great, but he's still happy and loves being outside. So it's like this summer in the heat is going to be a little tough for him. But that's all it's what he likes to do.
Yeah, and he's gonna go until he can't, though, right? I mean, that's
100%.
That's just the thing about dogs for sure, though, too.
Oh yeah, he gave me so much. I mean, I owe him so much. It's he's like he's done so much for me. So I can't. He means the world.
It's hard to think. It's hard to think about. I kind of see where you're thinking there, but
I know there's not going to be around forever. But I do anything. I try to do anything to to pay him back. I never could, but.
Yeah, George is actually not my first cat in my garden videos and stuff. I had a cat named Bug who used to be in all of my earlier videos when I first got started and everything. And she passed away, and that was a tough one. I leave it up there, but every now and then I'm like, just that video, I've done. I had another cat that passed as well. It was another one too, but it was so hard. But because Bug had been a part of my videos and she'd been there or something, I felt a kind of a need to kind of express the loss and that sort of thing. And it was just so looking back on that, it still bugs me today, it still gets me, that
I know it's tough. It's tough. But I mean, Masanobu Fukuoka, an old school gardener, he would there's a picture on the wall of him and he says that guy lives forever because he's up on the wall. And that's how I feel with Tuck. I'm so happy that he's been in so many of the videos. He lives on forever, in the videos, bringing people joy. And I have so many videos going back where I can see him. I've got videos about him. So I'm really fortunate that for him, but that he's been able to be a part of the whole thing because it feels really like we've done it together, not like I did it and he came along. So it's really, it's nice to have him. Like I say, he's going to live forever, and he's going to bring a lot of people. I think he encouraged a lot of people to grow their own food. So
that's kind of how I feel about Bug too. She's got she's actually out in the alleyway. She was an alley cat. This was her alley. You know what I mean? We started the channel together, that sort of thing. She's out there, and I created this cool little rock garden, and it's got catnip and cat grass and cat stuff growing around it. So it's like a little cat garden. We have like this little cool little bench there. It's a small little bench that like one person could sit on, but it's actually there for the cats. Like George and my other cat Dexter will go out there and hang out. They sit on that bench. Of course, there's the catnip right there too. But no, they sit there and everything, and it's all perfect. And every time I see them there, it just brings back that memory of my first cat Bug, and just brings joy every time I get to see that sort of.
Well, she must have been a winner if you've got more now.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I don't know if I can live in this alleyway without them.
Yeah.
Well, here's one thing I say though too, because I live in an alleyway, is whether I have my own cats or not, Or I will have cats. Because, yeah, and that's one of the cool things about having them is that they do keep the population of stray cats at bay because it's their
Territorial, yeah.
You know, yeah, exactly.
That's nice.
But right on, right on. So here we are. We've been gardening, and you're getting growing and all of that. How long after you're first starting gardening, you first started planting these trees and developing this food forest and everything, did you start making videos? When did this come along? What was it?
They were really
inspiration for doing that?
Basically the same time almost. Like my first garden was small with a tree here and there, and I was documented on Facebook because, back in the day, like Facebook, I mean, I guess still like that. They're great with groups. So there was like seed exchanging groups where like you need seeds. I have 10 of these, exchange these with me. Let's trade these seeds. Let's trade these seeds. So it was like in some of the groups like that. So I would take pictures of my garden and stuff. And then when I was getting into permaculture, I was watching videos of Jeff Law and all the YouTube people, but there was very few people making videos about it. So then I was like, you know what? I should just make some videos about my food forest. I don't see a lot of people doing it. So then I just started doing it literally just for fun, like my own documentation, like showing just how I'm doing it. I started just like broadcasting a lot of seeds, planting fruit trees. And then I got some of my videos did okay. And then someone was like, hey, can I come see the garden? I was like, sure, whatever. They came up from South Carolina or something. They were local. And then they were like, oh man, I like your videos. You should make more videos. And I was like, I actually do like doing this. Yeah. And then I was unsure what I wanted to do at the time. I was thinking, do I actually want to try to get a big permaculture farm, do my own thing? And then I went down to Virginia, and I was going to trip to Tennessee, and I stopped in Virginia at Joel Salatin's farm because he has this thing where it's like open. Anyone could go on the farm and look around at everything. I don't know if he still does it, but anyone could go and look at the farm. Okay. So it's like, let's stop and swoop. Let's take a look at the farm. This is the guy who got me excited. And then we stop at the farm. We're in the little shop, and then Joel walks in. All right. And I'm like, hey, try to introduce myself. Tell him like we're big fans. He's like, oh, well, I got to do an interview, but they're going to be 20 minutes late. So I got 20 minutes if you want to talk. And I was like, nice. Oh my God. I was like, thank God. So I'm talking to Joel, telling him I'm into permaculture, telling him, hey, I'm thinking about coming down south looking for a property. I want to start my own farm. And then his kind of advice to me was like, why are you going to leave when you're in a market that no one's doing it, when you're going to come down when everyone's doing it down south? So that opened my eyes, and I was like, man, all right, well, let me just rethink things. And then around that same time, I was doing a lot of reading, and I found this book, Acres of Diamonds. And it's that whole same concept where like all your opportunities are right underneath your nose. You're going away looking for stuff when your opportunities are right in your backyard. Yeah. And I got that same message from Joel. So then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take my backyard. I'm going to turn it into a food forest, and I'm going to try to show it for people who are around me that they can do it too. And that's going to be like my market. I'm just going to like make it more relatable, make it more backyard, make it more home gardening. And that's kind of how the YouTube thing got going. Then I started to get a little more traction. And then I decided like 2015 or 16, I can remember the video where I was like, I'm going to take this serious. I'm not going to do it for fun anymore. Yeah. I enjoy doing it, but I'm going to actually put myself into this, and I'm going to like go really hard at it. Mm-hmm. And then I started to get more traction. And then right around like 2017, 2018, I was like, maybe 2018, I was like, I'm quitting my job. I'm going all in on this. And I don't care if I fail, I can always go get a different job. And then I had put years in of making as many good videos as I can. And then COVID happened, and I had already set myself up. So then, there was, I kind of was
locked in and ready at that point, huh?
And I had hundreds and hundreds of videos that I had made already. Mm-hmm. So then people could reference it. And that's when a lot of my reach blew up a lot, when everyone kind of got locked inside.
Yeah. That's kind of similar to me in a way. I kind of started with Facebook myself with some local groups because got the alleyways, I've got neighbors, community members walking through all the time. In fact, one of the biggest attractions that got people coming around to see what I was doing here was I have this flat carport roof that's right here in the back. And on the top of it, we were doing these 5-gallon wicking earth buckets.
Oh, cool.
So I'd put these up on the top of the roof and grow all these peppers. So I had this big, massive pepper garden up there. And so, in fact, I had the police show up to because neighbors could see it and were like, "What is this dude growing up on his carport there?" And actually I wasn't here that day, so the person, my roommate here had told the police, like, "Well, you can go up there and look at him if you eat one of them." But that made me think. I was like, well, who could it be who said my guard, who called on me, so I went about walking around my neighborhood to see like what angle you could see it at. And then that's when I noticed like everybody can see this from like all over the place. And that's why I started getting all these people there. And it was just a few people who were like, "Hey, you should really share this. You should maybe, and it was suggested make videos and that sort of thing, but I wasn't, I was like, I don't know about doing videos. I have a photography background, but I hadn't done anything really with videography. But so I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll start with the local Facebook group. I started a little local Facebook gardening group and started sharing there, and that was doing all right, and so I was like, all right, maybe I'll move on to videos now, because I had just actually had an iPhone. Well, I think like an iPhone 6 is what I had. I was like, all right, I could shoot video right here. I could pull it off, and found this free editor and started playing around with it. And then it was like, wow, this is actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
This is taking the gardening to a whole nother level. But for me, it wasn't until like my first year, I just wanted to have fun and try it out. And I told myself, if I could do that, make videos, I'm going to take myself down to the National Heirloom Exposition and do have some fun videos and go meet who was at the time my kind of garden idol, John Kohler.
Yep. I remember him.
Yeah.
Growing your own greens.
Grow your own greens. Yeah. And it was just really and he was actually kind of that inspiration for me to go ahead and, hey, do this a little more. It wasn't till more recently in the last year or two that I've decided to kind of take it more seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Besides, having fun, like you're saying. But John was kind of like that real first inspiration of like, oh man, you can really go out and meet people and really do like, really have fun with this thing, more so than just, being in my garden and doing that sort of stuff. So
yeah, John was one of the originals, him and Praxis. Remember him?
Oh yeah, I was going to mention him when we were talking about Tuck too, because he was one of those first guys I was watching on YouTube, and he had his little dog
Rascal or something. Yeah,
Rascal. Yeah.
Yeah, they're some of the originals. Yeah, I remember seeing some videos of his and stuff. So they were. That's when I was looking up gardening. I was really into more permaculture at the time. Now I've broadened the kind of gardening that I do, because I just like always doing different things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now I got the fruit trees and how I want them, how I do it. Now let's move on to the next thing. So I just find that exciting to be a gardener. But yeah, there are some channels that really got me motivated, like Wrangler Star. I don't know if you know who he is. He's not a gardening guy, but he's more of like a homesteadish kind of guy.
Okay.
And like 2015, 14, I saw what he was doing, and I was like, I want to do things more like this guy, the way he was approaching YouTube, the way he was like, he was taking it seemed like he was taking it a bit more serious, when there wasn't some people who were just like, I still enjoy doing it, and I love doing it, and I love making videos, but I wanted to make sure that I could try to do it for a long period of time, to try to set myself up for those opportunities to like just do it for. I don't want to do anything else really.
Yeah,
that's what I like doing. I've always liked making videos, but then when I started taking it more serious and approaching it as I have to get this many videos out every time, consistency, then it developed something more.
Yeah.
And then I felt like when my opportunity had come, I had been preparing. You know what I mean? So I felt like I was more ready for the opportunity. It's like you only get so many springs, so you got to make sure you're prepping in the winter, or you might not have any harvest in the summer.
Though I still got a lot of things to get better at. I feel kind of the same way. I feel like I'm in that kind of position now where I'm starting to see a flow with things. I'm starting to see and really connect with what I'm doing, you know, more properly and that sort of thing. And, you know, kind of laying off some things that I used to go a little heavy on, you know, when it's, you know, more so in the video editing type of thing, and to find it, make it a little bit more easier and streamlined for me, you know, because I was making things so complicated for years. Because for me, I was taking that inspiration, you know, in my garden from garden channels, but when I'm from making videos, I was taking inspiration from some of these other YouTubers like Casey Neistat and all that, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I want these cool, you know, like B-rolls and time lapses and all that sort of stuff. Though I try to include a little bit more of them, I just streamline it and don't go so heavy on it like I was early on.
Exactly. Gardening is one of those things where, I mean, it's a very, it depends what you're doing, but YouTube is a very value-based thing. I think, in my opinion, if you create value, people are drawn to it, and you have to provide value for them in multiple ways. Education is what I always try to say. I do education, entertainment, and encouragement are like the three facets that I try to hit. So I'm getting more into B-roll and stuff now that I have a bigger audience to make it more watchable. But if you could create value for people, then they keep coming back. And it's like, it's like if you can give someone this value and then they use that and then it helps their garden, then they'll come back again next year. So it's like,
and you definitely got that with your garden for sure. And I love, and also, you know, the entertainment you say, but you know, you bring the real, you know, you bring a lot of energy, you bring a lot of, you know, to it. And I think that's one of the things that really makes your videos a lot more appealing too, because you're just kind of making gardening exciting and fun.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. Well, that's one of the things. It's like every gardener, sometimes, not most gardeners, feel like they're maybe even on an island on their own because some people around them don't like gardening as much. So they'll feel goofy almost if they're super excited about it. But when they could see someone who's super excited also, who loves doing it, then I feel like they can relate with that a little bit. And then it gives them a little more leeway to just lean into it heavier and not feel like they're a crazy person. But, you know, so that's how I try to just, I try to make it fun. I mean, it's what I love to do. If I wasn't making videos, I'd definitely be gardening. But if I wasn't gardening, I'd still probably be making videos. So for me, to be able to bring two things that I really enjoy together, that's it's really rewarding. So I get a lot of joy out of it. If anything, my problem is turning it down sometimes. It's hard for me to shut it off. I always want to make videos or do something. It's like, I look back now, it's like I spent the last 10 years of my life, like the best times of the year, making videos about gardening. And then one part of me is like, dang, was that worth it? The other part of me was like, what else would I rather do?
Right. I totally feel exactly the same when it comes to all of that. So, all right, it's that time of year. Gardeners are out getting started, you know, depending on where you are exactly. But a lot of us, it's springtime. We're ready to get out there. There's a lot of new gardeners out there. So I want to ask you, do you have any sort of tips or advice or anything that you could give some new gardeners who are just getting started right now?
New gardeners, definitely start small and expand, because little wins will encourage you to keep going. If you start a big garden, start a massive area, then if you don't set it up perfectly, which you're not going to know how to do, then you're going to be overrun with weeds and stuff when your harvest should be coming. And you could plant a huge garden and get way less than planting a small garden, just because the amount of space you can spend out in the small garden and be able to be hands-on more. So I would definitely say start small, and then start a few things that are simple, and then a few things that you really like to eat.
Yeah.
So every area has things that do better than others. So kind of find out what does well in your particular area. And then I would also say, even if you're just starting, you know, make sure you plant some hybrids. When I first started too, like, you want to plant only heirloom. Heirlooms are great. I think they're fantastic. But when you first start starting, just plant some hybrids, because a lot of times they'll be easier to get a harvest from. After you get more experience, then do some of the other things. Like your first garden, you don't have to plant from seed, grow it, save the seed, and do everything. Just focus on getting some harvests. Once you get some harvests, then it'll encourage you, and then build on that learnings for the following years. But just make sure you take it slow and try to make sure you get some wins, because that's going to keep you going. Because a new gardener, I want them to make sure they come back next year. I want you guys to garden again the following year. So just make sure you try to enjoy yourself and try to get some harvest from it. Just don't overwhelm yourself.
Yeah, and really don't be discouraged either. You know, because that's a big, it's a part of the learning process with anything we do, anything we venture into, is, you know, learning from mistakes or different things that happen and all that sort of stuff, and not let those things deter you. You know,
Exactly.
because there's definitely good things down the road once you start getting the hang of it all.
Exactly. That's one of the things I try to do. It's I heard a quote. It's like the price is easy if the promise is clear. So I want to try to paint the promise of people, the harvest you can get, but you still gotta have to pay the price over the years to learn how to do those things. So don't think it's going to be perfect the first year, but it's worth it. And just stay at it, and just, you know, consistency is going to make a difference. And just you won't realize how much you're learning every year, because you learn it without even knowing it.
Yep.
So
next thing you know, you're turning around and you've got all of this really awesome stuff to harvest out of your garden, and you're sharing with people. Heck, you're even growing things that you don't even eat just because you're fascinated with growing them. Like me with eggplants. I grow eggplants, you know, I give those to neighbors. I don't like eggplant really.
They look beautiful.
Plants are awesome.
I know.
So,
I know.
you know, the colors, the fruits, just so amazing and so cool. But you know, that's all a part of the love and fun of gardening and everything. And I really want to thank you so much for spending your time here today and talking with us and sharing all this great information and telling us all about your garden story. It's just been a really awesome conversation with you today, James.
No problem. Thanks for having me on. It's a blast. I always love talking to a fellow gardener, so it's a joy for me. And just wanted to thank everyone for watching, and like for the consistent support you give me, and I'm sure you give Enoch too. So you guys' support means a lot to me, means a lot to us. People show love for Tuck all the time. That means a lot. So thanks for helping us do what we love to do. It's a blast.
Absolutely. So definitely, if there's anybody, which I just can't believe, if there's anybody out there who hasn't subscribed to the gardening channel with James Prigioni, get down in the description below. There's going to be a link. Go check out James. James is so awesome. He's got great gardening content for you and so much to learn from. So go check him out there. And again, once more, thanks again, James, for spending your time with us.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
All right. What a fun, awesome interview with James Prigioni. That was really great afternoon talking with him. It was great too. We got to have a little fun conversation a little bit more after the interview, but just a really great guy. Again, too, I think some people kind of noticed as well too. You know, you get him and talk to him and get him on the live stream. It's a kind of a little bit different James. You know, I mean, James is really just an exciting, fun, just out there gardener. And that's one of the reasons why we all really love his videos and all of that too. So as I mentioned also at the end of that interview as well too, there are links down below there for anybody who might not have already gone to and subscribed to James' channel and checked out all of his great, awesome videos he does, and his dog Tuck, which everybody I saw at the beginning of the interview there too, is everybody's already just wanting to hear about Tuck and see him and all of that. I kind of wish he was there to kind of check out on the interview, but sometimes having your animals at your feet, I don't let George in here while I film the live stream, so I can kind of understand why he probably didn't have him there with him at the time of the interview, but it was just a great, fun discussion. I hope that you all really enjoyed it. Let's see. And and I just also want to mention too, again, here we are towards the end of the show. So if you do have any more questions or comments or anything here, I'm going to try to run through our comment section here in just a minute here. And if there's any last minute questions or any comments or anything like that that you have that I could get to before we finish up our show here, go ahead and jump in real quick here. But I do also want to make sure I remind everybody to hit that like button, to hit the thumbs up. Make sure you like our interview with James, and also our fun interview with Joe and Korky at the beginning of the show from Grow Big TV too. So definitely as well, give a like for them as well. And again, too, if you haven't subscribed or share with everybody, let everybody know about the Urban Gardener channel and our Let's Get Growing show here on the weekends. And definitely one other thing too, I like to remind people here at the end of the show too as well, is that we do have a really fun, cool Facebook gardening group, gardening community to kind of go along with our show, and a great place for all of you to be able to share your gardens and pictures and, you know, make some video or something like that and come share it with us. I love to see all of your gardens as well too. And a link also is down below in the description for that, so you can come join us there on the Let's Get Growing Facebook group. So I look forward to seeing all of you there as well too. And let's see here. I'm going to jump in the comments here in one moment, but I also do want to kind of remind everybody about what we've got coming up here too. Remember, we're not just on Saturdays anymore. We're also on Sundays with our Sunday edition of the Let's Get Growing Gardening LiveCast. We'll be back here Sunday, tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or in the afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern Time for all of you on the East Coast as well. You can come and join with us. We will have our good friends King Star from the Pepper Lovers community and the King Star Gardening channel, and Christopher Bransdahl growing out of Norway, and Mountain Garden YouTube channel that he has there as well too. These guys have been really great friends of mine. We've had basically a first week of spring discussion now for I think like 4 or 5 years now. I have to really look and see. This might actually be like our 4th, 5th time of actually doing that. So come join with us tomorrow, and we'll have a fun discussion on where we are with our gardens. These are a couple of great gardeners themselves too, so come and ask some questions, especially if you might have some questions about growing hydroponically. These guys grow a lot of hydroponics, especially Chris. He's got a great grow room he's been working on and building. I want to catch up with him and see where he's at with that, but he grows some really incredible things in his grow room up in the mountains of Norway. So you know he's got a big long winter, so he does a lot of that sort of stuff. And hydroponic questions, if you have any of those, definitely come and join with us tomorrow for that. And then definitely too, next weekend, our super hot live weekend. Saturday, we're going to have the stars of Hulu's super hot The Spicy Life of Pepper People. We have Johnny Scoville, who's basically the main star of the show, as well as Jimmy Pickles. He's a pepper grower, and he grew one of the hottest peppers on that series there that Hulu is featuring right now. So we'll be having them on the show to kind of celebrate and talk to them about growing peppers and hot peppers and their fascination and love with hot peppers, and talk about the super hot show. And then on Sunday, we're going to have with us Smokin' Ed Curry from, he is the creator of the former Guinness Book of World Records world record holder, the Carolina Reaper. He's got the new record with the Pepper X as well too. So we're going to talk to him about developing the Pepper X pepper. And as you can see there, the picture with me, what my pepper, that was a Primatali I grew. And it was just, I had a friend actually eat that on a live stream. I'm not much for the super hots myself, but I do love growing peppers, and it's one of my favorite things to grow. So I always include some super hots throughout the growing season that I share with friends and people and all of that as well too. So definitely come and check out our shows next weekend for our super hot weekend that we have too, as well as there. So let's see here. I'll jump in here, make sure say hi here. Connie Davis said, thanks for the fun interview. Thank you for coming and joining with us here. And Daniel Frost, thanks for joining with us here. Kathleen saying, great interview. Awesome. Analytic Gardener, thank you so much. Great interview. Love the comment. Thank you so much. Yes, that was really fun. I mean, you know, when you get an opportunity, and this is one of the fun things about doing this show, is the opportunity to be able to talk with some of these just really amazing, awesome gardeners. I mean, it takes some work, you know, to be able to line up a time and get it all figured out, and maybe even sometimes getting a hold of some of these great guests that we've got. But I'm glad to be able to do it and have them on our show here. That's just one of the fun things, one of the great things you get here on the Let's Get Growing show every weekend. Is just some really awesome people, really awesome gardeners. And James is just, and really one of the first ones too. James is the first gardener that we've had the chance to interview who has had over 1 million subscribers on his channel. So yeah, this is just really awesome. Jane Doe, Garden State, so-and-so. Awesome, awesome. Jay, yeah, it was funny to see James so calm. Exactly. You know, get him in just a nice conversation and all of that instead of the actual videos and producing videos, and he calms down just a little bit. But it was really great to talk to him too. Let's see here. Yeah, Sam says I really like to set up the urban forestry that he does. Yeah, exactly. And one of those people I was watching early on in his channel and watching the things he was doing, because again, I'm an urban gardener. I was watching his channel because I was watching anybody I could find who was presenting small space urban gardening, you know, and that was one of the reasons why I started my channel too, was I just felt that there wasn't that many of us out there who were showing you know, this sort of type of gardening content. So James was one of my first favorite people, you know, on that level, along with John Kohler, who we met as well too. Let's see here. Enoch, man, did you guys just mesh together? That was fantastic. Yes, absolutely. Great. That's one of the things too. I kind of get nervous about even these interviews, especially getting to interview someone like James. So, you know, it was really kind of cool that when, you know, once you just get the gardening conversation going, because that's the one thing is, you know, we're just really, you know, we share this very similar passion. All of us do. That's what we're here for. That's what this community is brought together for, is for us to, you know, have a place where we can come together and share our passion. And that's even for these great guests that we get on our show too, is that, you know, they get an opportunity to be able to share with someone themselves too. And so then, you know, the conversation is just really going to go great from there. Let's see here. Thank you, everyone from Grow Big TV. Yes, thanks again, Joe and Korky, for joining with us here today. That was another great conversation. I really always love talking with them. I was really lucky to get to be on their show this last Thursday. So if you're not doing anything and you want to, you know, check out even more of a conversation, go back and watch on Grow TV this last live stream they did, where we just, you know, we had another great, like I said, great conversation. It's when you know, when we garden folks get together, we have you know, we just have some really awesome things to talk about, and there's literally like so much to talk about too. So you can't really even get to everything you want to. I had even a whole list of even leftover questions and that seems to be the case almost every time I'm interviewing someone too, because again, we're talking about gardening. We can go into so many different directions with wherever we're talking about things. So some questions get left on the table. Big Will Dog saying, have a great week, all of you. Get those plants going, my friends. Awesome too. And let's see here. Making sure that we got everybody here. Shire Farm says, I'm excited to get out there. Let's get filming. Let's go. Make some videos. Yes. Definitely. Oh, God. Sorry. This is a joke. Why can't the melon get married? It can't elope. Right on. How funny is that? Awesome. And Jay there with a reminder too as well. Live every Saturday and Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. And that is 11 a.m. Pacific time, my time. So definitely come and join with us every Saturday and Sunday, especially tomorrow. We'll have a really fun conversation with my good friends King Star and Christopher Bransdahl. Always love talking with them. We always, again, too, that's one of the reasons why I have them back every spring is to, have a great conversation with them and, talk about all the things that we've got growing on. Okay, let's see here. All right. Yeah. Freebird saying, appreciate you, Jay. Was a great live. Me too. I appreciate you too, Jay. Thank you so much for being in the chat there and keeping everything's moderated and dropping in all the awesome links. Let's see here. But yeah, again, too, thank you so much, everybody. Just really, really fun to have such an awesome showing again this week. We're off to just such a really wonderful, awesome start here with the Let's Get Growing show. And again, all of you who are here with us today, and if you haven't yet, please make sure you're hitting the subscribe button and follow along with us and come back each and every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, for all the really great shows and garden content and everything that we've got coming for you. We've got some really awesome shows still yet to come, but definitely come and join with us tomorrow for our Sunday edition of the show. And check out our conversation, like I said, with King and Christopher. And then again, too, Super Hots Live, and come and join with us about all the pepper talk as well next weekend. So I'll see all of you tomorrow on our Sunday show and next Saturday as well. You all have a great gardening week.